Today I'm in the gorgeous mountains above Colorado, putting this through its paces, the fully electric and hotly anticipated Rivian R1T pickup. Now, there's been a pretty challenging trail that's been a lot of fun just getting to this beautiful view here, but there's a lot more trail left ahead of us. So let's hop back behind the wheel and dig into the details. The R1T is the first vehicle from electric startup Rivian, and if I'm not mistaken, the first fully electric pickup to reach the market, with the first customer launch edition units rolling off the line just this month. The design is almost toy-like in my opinion, with a very happy looking front fascia. Both the front and rear ends are highlighted by strong horizontal light bars, with the front end featuring a pair of pill-shaped headlamps that have a surprising depth to them that I really just enjoy looking at. The pickup stretches 217.1 inches from the rooter to the tooter. For scale, its footprint is a touch larger than that of the Ranger, but a fair bit smaller than a crew cab F-150. Of course, the main event here is the electric powertrain. The quad motor design, one for each wheel, gets you front axle twist to the tune of 415 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque, while the rear axle rocks 420 horsepower and 495 pound-feet. The math is a touch more complex than simple addition, but you're still looking at a combination of over 800 horsepower and 900 pound-feet of torque. In sport mode on tarmac, you're looking at an impressive 0 to 60 time of around 3 seconds. Switch to a more sedate mode to stretch to around 314 miles of electric range for the standard 135 kilowatt hour large pack battery. And later, an optional max pack battery will bump the estimated range over the 400 mile mark. The R1T features an air suspension that enables auto leveling and ride height adjustment, with up to 13.1 inches of ground clearance in off-road mode or up to 15 inches for low-speed rock crawling. And yeah, you can ford up to 3 feet of water without being electrocuted. Now notice there are no differential settings or axle lockers, but the R1T doesn't really need them. With the ability to individually send massive amounts of precise torque to the right wheel at the right time, it sort of already marries the traction advantages of locking diffs with the maneuverability of an open setup. Speaking of maneuverability, my pre-production launch edition model didn't feature the software for the R1T's most interesting party trick, so I wasn't able to experience a zero radius tank turn, but the feature is coming via software update later. Okay, so those are the specs, and we're on a little bit of a smoother bit of the trail now, so let's talk about what it's like to drive this thing off-road. Interestingly, it seems to me like an electric powertrain is even better suited to off-road driving than your standard 4x4 system. For starters, the powertrain is absolutely quiet, which means that you're free to enjoy the sounds of the trail and the streams and things as you're going by. But also, because you are not locking your differential at the front and rear axle, you're using the individual motors, one for each wheel, you got better articulation for where your grip goes. So when you're scrambling up a loose bit of sand or climbing up some slippery rocks, you don't really have that situation where you're spinning one tire when your other one has grip. It's just sending power where it needs to go. And that gives you a really sure-footed feel. Also, the one-pedal driving that makes driving an electric vehicle more efficient on the road really makes driving on the trail a more relaxing and more controlled experience. Because as you're approaching a climb or as you're going up the trail, you have really good control with your right foot. But then you can also simply lift to get that sort of braking feel going down, and taking advantage of a regen on a decline gives you a lot more control than, say, pulsing the ABS sensor for some of the descent control system we've seen with ICEs. Plus, when you're headed back downhill, you're getting some of that power back on the regen, which is going to help stretch your range. We started this day out with a pretty healthy battery, around 80%, and we've done the better part of an entire day of trail driving, and we've still got plenty of power to get back home with much to spare. And also, the dashboard technology that serves this vehicle well on the road also serves it on the trail. We've got this massive screen here that we can use to take advantage of the front, side, and rear cameras that are going to help us accurately position our wheels and know what's happening with the trail. You can switch between the front and the rear cameras if you want to keep your eyes on the front or the rear wheels. And also, the front camera comes in particular handy when you're going up a very steep incline and you can't see anything over the hood. It really adds to the safety there. And once you get back on the road, you've got your full complement of infotainment here. And it's a pretty interesting and good looking system. You got this big old screen that's great for filling up the map with navigation, directions, and things like that. Over here next, we've got our audio features where you can adjust the Meridian sound system with a custom EQ or 3D surround. You've also got access to a couple of streaming services like Spotify or TuneIn if you want to use those right there. We're out in the middle of nowhere right now, so don't expect to get very much signal on those. Next up, we've got the vehicle systems right here where you adjust your different drive modes. You got a couple to choose from. Right now we're in off-road, which is going to give us our 13 inches of ground clearance and adjust the powertrain so that it's better suited for off-road driving. But we've also got sport settings, an all-purpose setting. There's an eco-conserve setting as well as a different customization for towing. And each of those has more customization underneath it. For example, we're in off-road right now, but we can go into rock crawl, and that's going to raise our ride height up to a maximum of 15 inches for best ground clearance, and also give us even more control and fine-tune over our throttle for those slow speed, high torque grip applications. Also, it remembers your custom settings down here for each of those ride settings. So if you like your off-road setting to be soft, you can set it to be soft and it'll remember that for the next time. But if you like it a little firm, you don't have to go in there and change it every time. Next up, we've got the controls for the various access systems. Everything almost on this vehicle is power, including the hood, the tonneau cover. You also have the ability to power open the tailgate from here. And there is the gear tunnel, which is a unique feature to the R1T, which is a tunnel that gives you either side access to a storage space that is sort of back behind the rear seats and underneath the bed. It's a very useful feature that Rivian actually puts to use with their sort of trail camp system that allows you to option the ability to have a full electric stove and cooking system that slides out of the side of the vehicle. That's really cool. Having no combustion engine under the hood frees up a front trunk that's big enough to hold around 2 to 3 carry-on side suitcases, and beneath the powered tonneau cover at the back, you'll find in-bed spare tire storage and an optional integrated automatic air compressor, good for airing up your tires after a day of low PSI off-roading and rock crawling. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. While for the most part I was pleased with the R1T's suite of driver aid technologies, I think that Rivian's Driver Plus highway steering assist system still needs a bit of finessing, particularly when it comes to the transition between assisted and human-led steering. Now I dig deeper into all of that in our written article over on Roadshow.com, but the engineers that I spoke with extensively during my drive assured me that the automaker is hard at work refining that system and will be delivering OTA updates that'll make the R1T better over time than the day that it's delivered. Yes, even the ones that are currently rolling off the line. Now the $73,000 launch edition that I drove is already sold out, but you can still place an order for the 2022 Rivian R1T starting at $67,500 for the base Explorer model, or the slightly better equipped $73,000 Adventure trim before accessories and options. First deliveries for those specs should start in January 2022. Now you can find more details about the R1T, including a deeper dive into the cabin and driver aid tech, and my colleague Emmy Hall's experiences rallying in the electric pickup over on the Roadshow.com. I'll see you there.